Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. We're here in Brookshire County on our upgraded passenger line coming into Salt Lake City, and in this video we're going to be getting a goods factory finally set up on this map out near Roswell. Alright, and before we get into anything in this video, I quickly want to go through some of the things we did off camera, such as upgrading the streets, and some of the other things that we found out to help out with some of the other troubles that we had going on in the last video. And so here's Pittsburgh with its new roads. You can see we have our large main road coming down the middle here, and then we use these streets going up and down the sides. And then over here at the train station, we actually forgot to upgrade these, but we can just come through and upgrade the look of the roads so that these stations fit in. So we'll select new street era, and it looks like that should blend in pretty nicely now. And so that's all for Pittsburgh. There's obviously more that we can do up here, but we'll get there another time. So moving on, we can head over to Roswell, which we didn't do anything with. But we do have plans to overhaul the roads entirely in Roswell, since it's becoming quite a mess. I'd rather fix the streets first before we upgrade them, since it did get so bad in some areas. So this will be on our list for future things, but Roswell is the only city that we didn't upgrade the streets on off camera between episodes. And then we have Lincoln over here. Looking quite nice. Lincoln also needs some fixes with its roads, but it's not quite as bad as Roswell, so we left some of them in there, but we will come through and fix that up later on. But you can see it's recovering from all of the road upgrades that we did. There's some empty spots on the streets from the change in street sizes, but the city should bounce back and recover pretty quickly from all that. And then lastly we have Tacoma, which I think this came out really nice. I think these streets fit quite nicely with the location of the city and the look that we're going for with Tacoma. So I'm very happy with the outcome of this. But obviously Tacoma is starting to outgrow its boundaries, so pretty soon here we'll have to expand this city as well. And so I believe that covers all of our cities that we didn't do in the video last episode. Now, to fix the issue with these depots that we had where we can't delete or upgrade these streets, I think obviously it has something to do with all the new road mods that I've activated, and then of course the changing of the era I think broke something with these road depots, therefore causing us not to delete these roads. I accidentally deleted the collision tile. We'll get that placed back in a second. But what I found is, you can see here, it's not letting us bulldoze these depots. Okay, and now the solution to this is, really the only thing I was able to find is the Bulldozer ++ mod. There's nothing that we could do with the regular bulldozer, so we can't shift click to bypass this confirmation screen. So unfortunately that doesn't work. And so the only thing I found to work is the Bulldozer ++ mod, where basically we have to select both depots at the same time. So let's go into here. You can see they're both highlighted by this, and then we should just be able to delete them, and now they're gone. So I think what was happening was something with the roads upgrading to the new era of streets, or something with the roads that we added in. When it switched over to the new era, must have broke the road depots, and so they were conflicting with each other. So usually we're able to just delete the road depot and that would solve the issue, but because they're so close together, they were pretty much conflicting with the other depots, and that was preventing us from effectively deleting either one of them. And so now we should just be able to come in here. We'll upgrade these streets first, and then we can find our depots, rotate them into position, and then we can get them placed right back to where they were. Alright, and so now what that means is we can get rid of this tram depot here. I believe everything should work out here just fine now. And then, just to finish off this area, we'll configure these roads and get some better looking roads coming into this truck station. Actually, it doesn't seem like it wants to change, so we'll leave this for now, but we will come back at some point and fix this. But now I think we can finally get into setting up a goods factory on this map. Alright, so this is the goods factory that we're going to be getting up and running in this video, and it's pretty much just going to sit right in this area here. I believe our plan is to bring the resources in and out by train. We'll also just simply truck the resources into Roswell where needed, but pretty much the plan is to bring steel from this steel mill by train. We'll have it make a stop here at the chemical plant where it'll load up on chemicals, and then come around and drop off those goods here at the goods factory. And I'm not sure what we're going to do with it after that. We could either by boat send it over to the cargo hub, or we could potentially do it with the same train and save us some money, give us some money on the return trip, or we can have that same train come and make a pit stop in Pittsburgh, since it wouldn't be too hard to maybe just blow through a tunnel here, have these lines merge, and then have some goods dropped off here in Pittsburgh. I'm not too sure if that would be the best course of action, but I guess we'll figure that out once we get there. Because I definitely don't think it would be profitable to run a train completely empty the entire way back to the steel mill, especially since it won't be entirely full on the way there, since we'll be picking more goods up about halfway and then going to the goods factory. So we'll see what happens. We might just scrap the train idea altogether, but let's get started. I suppose we'll get started with our mines here and get the steel mill set up, since that's what we already talked about doing. And so let's start here with these coal mines. And so I think we'll start here by getting one coal mine here, and then we'll get another one tucked a bit farther in. I suppose here might be the best spot. We'll get that placed right there. And then now we'll have to figure out how we want to connect these up and detail them. So first, let's erase all the trees around here so we have some space to see what we're doing. Alright, so now let's hop into detailing these coal mines, and we'll be right back once we're finished up with this. Alright, and so I think this is going to be good enough for our coal mines. Now all we have to do is figure out how we want to connect our streets back up. And so I think the best way to do this is to just bring this road out a little bit here. And then we can curve around and connect back up to our existing road. And so now we'll just focus on smoothing out this road that leaves our coal mine. So we'll want to bring up the terrain around the edges a little bit. And then over here we'll have this cut through. So we'll flatten some of this terrain. And this is all starting to look pretty good. Out here we'll raise the terrain a little bit. And now I think this is all good. We can now focus on our iron mine over here. And so for this mine, I think we're going to do something a little bit different, because I'm not a huge fan of how the iron mines look, since you can't really blend them well with a lot of other assets that are currently available to us. So let's first flatten out a good area for us to have this. Of course, again, we'll have to come through and erase a lot of these trees just so we can see what we're doing. So then we're going to extend this road. And I think we'll just try to get this road to go flat completely across here. So we can have that connected up like so. Continue to bring this road around something like this. And then just thinking about how we want to do this. I think for now we'll temporarily have a road sort of like this. I'm not too sure how exactly we want to go about it. But then this is all going to be a dugout iron mine. Sort of similar to how the existing industry is, but we're going to go a little larger in scale since we want to sort of keep it similar to how the game already treats the iron mine. And so now I think this will be sort of the base of what we're going to go with here for our iron mine. So we can now pretty much get into detailing all of it. And hopefully when we come back, we'll have something that looks fairly decent and something that we'll be happy with in the long run. Alright, and I think this is going to be it for our iron mine. There's a little bit more that we could do to sort of finish off the space, but I think we're going to leave it as is. So what I'm thinking is the way we're going to do this is we're actually going to use one of these freestyle industries, and it looks like we can hide this pretty well. I don't think it really matters where we place this, so as long as it's connecting to the roads, we might just have to rotate it just so that it lines up a little bit nicer. But we can get this placed here. We'll set this to iron ore. And then hopefully what we should start to see is this will start to fill this station up with iron ore. And then the way that we're going to go about this is trucking the iron ore up out of the bottom of this mine using the invisible road that we placed down, unload them here, and then this is where those would come to then go all the way out to the steel mill. And so now let's just come through and we'll smooth up our road heading out towards the steel mill. And we'll make sure the road going out there looks good as well. We might end up doing some changes to just make it fit in with the environment a bit more. But coming through here looks good. So it looks like we come in here, we go into a bit of a tunnel, we exit our tunnel over on this side, and then we bridge over this river where we then come in to our steel mill. Now we're going to have to make some adjustments to this steel mill. And really, I think all that we're going to do is just add an unload stop. I think right here would be perfect. It'll get some activity coming around this road. So that'll come around, they'll unload here. And we might actually move this a little bit farther down, just so it forces them to complete this loop without us needing to use waypoints. But we have these two industries, well, I guess these three producing steel. And I believe we have some space still to improve our output. And so we'll leave this for now. When we eventually come back and math out how much steel we need for our goods, we might end up adding a few more. We have space here maybe to add one, some space here, which we can probably just extend some of our roads and get a few more industries over here. But for now, I think this road looks good. And then remember, the plan is to have our train tracks come out this way to get to the chemical plant and then to this goods factory. So now, next I want to focus on the oil and chemical side of this whole process. Now, we're not going to get into detailing the industries like we did for the iron and coal mines, just because that would take way too long. So we will get everything set up. We'll get a couple of oil wells placed. We'll make sure they're connected appropriately to the oil refinery, get the oil refinery connected to the chemical plant, and so on. So we will have options there. We just won't get into detailing them quite at the moment, just because of time. So let's come in here. We'll delete this road. I think we'll just delete this entire road. I'm not a huge fan of it anyway. We'll find a new spot for those oil wells and a new way to bring them into the oil refinery. And so I think what we'll do is we'll get an oil refinery placed right around here, and then we'll flatten the terrain to allow us to place another one pretty much right next to it. And so we'll line this up, build that right there, delete one of these roads, and then I think that's good enough that we can start to use that. So we'll smooth all this up, upgrade the road here, which this will just be a regular road. And now we'll want to think about how we're going to connect this up to our oil refinery up here. And I do like where this is, so we are going to keep it on this road. I think the only thing that we're going to do is, first of all, flatten the area out a little bit so that we don't see the edge of the industry. I think, again, what we want to do is we'll bring this road straight out like this, and then try to get a road going across this way. And this will end up being part of the industry once we start detailing it. But then this road is what will essentially just come straight out and connect up to these oil wells. Alright, so now with this road connection made, we are now connected to this oil refinery. And then, of course, we'll just be using this oil refinery to go to the chemical plant down here. We will get rid of this iron ore mine. This is going to serve no purpose up here, so we're better off just getting rid of it right now. And then, thinking about how we're going to be getting down to the chemical plant, we're going to be taking this road, and then I suppose we'll just get off onto this road and come straight down here. But we will get a better location for this connection, since the current road it connects to is a little bit steep and unrealistic. I think we'll move it a little farther down this way, so that's a bit more of a straight shot into the chemical plant. I do like the road it's connected to, so we will keep that. So pretty much all we're going to do is come straight off of this road. We'll be cutting into this hill a little bit just to help with the slope of it. And then pretty much here's where we're going to start our climb up to here. And now this is where it's going to get a little tricky, as we do want to find the best spot to come off. And I think that might end up being all the way out here. So we'll get this place and we'll try to pull it out far enough so that it's not such a steep slope coming off of this road. So that works. And then we might be able to just drag it like so, and we'll use that to connect up. So then again, we'll just need to fix the terrain. Okay, and so now with these road connections made, I think all that's left to do is connect to this goods factory, and then we can start to physically connect everything up. So over here, let's get a train station built. So first of all, we'll get this road upgraded, and then we'll get a road coming straight off of here where our train station will be. So then we can have this come somewhere, I think maybe on this side. And we'll make that as long as we can. Get that placed right here. And then as for this chemical plant, I think what we're going to want to do is we'll extend this road just straight out a bit farther, and we'll do the same thing here. And then our last stop will be connecting to the steel mill all the way out here, so we won't have to worry about anything else. And so now lastly, let's connect up these tracks. Alright, now finally our train tracks are all connected up. Everything else should be connected pretty well, as we didn't really break any connections doing this. And, well, I guess we have to figure out how we're connecting this road up to here. Maybe we can get a better connection off of this road somewhere. And so right around here is probably the best spot we're going to get to have this road cross over. So we'll just have to extend this road around a bit and then just reconnect over here. And we should be good to go now, hopefully without too much issue. Alright, so now let's get things slowly geared up and going. So we don't have a road depot yet out by this steel mill, so let's get one placed here so we can start getting some of our trucks going. And I think we can get this placed right about here. Now, we're gonna have coal coming from here and iron coming from down this way. They look to be about the same distance, so hopefully we can balance these line rates pretty well. And taking a look at what would be best to carry it in, I think this Benz tarpaulin truck will probably be best as it has the highest top speed, which of course over a decent amount of distance will definitely pay off. So we'll get these going, set them up on a new line, going from here to the unload stop here. And then we'll want to make sure this is loading only coal. Here it's unloading everything, and that should be good. And then we'll get roughly the same amount of trucks for the iron mine. So we'll go up to about 30, and we'll put these on a line going from that station up to this stop. And again, we'll fix this for just iron. And then we do need one more line here, and that is to bring the iron up out of this mine to this unload stop. So we'll grab another few sets of trucks, and let's see if maybe there's something else we can use. Like we can use these Mack AC tarpaulin trucks, as they're not quite as fast, but they do carry a considerable amount more cargo. And so these might be a little better suited for a shorter distance. We'll start with 15, which actually seems a bit overkill, but we can. It's a lot easier to sell them than it is to buy them. So again, we'll set this appropriately. And now that should be all set up. We'll just have to wait for those trucks to start making their rounds, get the line rate settled. And while we wait for that, we can set up our chemical plant side of this. And so here we'll just grab a nice easy truck stop, throw it on the end here. We're not going to care too much about looks for these, so we'll throw on a little bit of capacity. Up here we'll need to add another truck stop where we can have the oil unloaded and the refined oil loaded to take down to the chemical plant, at which point we will unload at an unload stop. And so now we should just need to get the trucks set up for that line. And for this we'll just throw a road depot here next to the chemical plant. And so let's use these tank trucks to move all this oil, as that would probably be what makes the most sense. So we'll start off here with 20 of these. Set these up going from our oil well stop to the oil refinery. And then of course we'll need a few more tank trucks to bring that refined oil down into the chemical plant. Alright, and so then finally all that leaves us with is, well actually first I think we need to set up a truck stop and an unload stop in Roswell so we can start generating the demand that we need. So we'll get that placed right about there, and this will be for our goods. Now, we do have a road depot out here, and for this we'll use these Mack tarpaulin trucks. We'll start out with 8 of those, and then have that dropped off just like so. Make sure that's only loading the goods that we need, and of course it'll unload them at the unload stop. And then the final piece of this puzzle is setting up our train. And so there's a few ways we can go about this. We can either go with one longer train, which we might do just to start out with this. Eventually we'll probably upgrade that to 2 trains. And so let's get a train depot placed out this way. And we'll get this probably out here so it's a little easier to connect up. We'll just bring that around, have that connected like so. And now everything should be able to come in and out of there. Alright, and so the train that we're going to use is this Pennsylvania Railroad L2 light Mikado engine. And we have 11 box cars and 12 flat cars behind it. This balances it out so it's even capacity for each material. And so we'll just buy one of these for now. And this will be the train that runs to our steel mill, over to pick up some chemicals at the chemical plant, and then comes all the way over to the goods factory out here in Roswell. So now we'll just want to make sure we set this up right. So here it's only loading steel, then it's only loading chemicals, and then it's unloading everything. And we should be able to hopefully see this train start coming out. And I don't think it's that bad of a train. I do think this engine has the capacity to be much longer, which is partly why we selected it, since we'll more than likely need to extend this in the future once we start figuring out rates. But we might have to wait until the next episode once things get settled in a bit more to figure out the exact numbers that we need. And so we can see here all of our trucks starting to wait here at the iron ore mine. Of course, we have to wait for these trucks to make their way in here before these will start getting iron. It does look like hopefully some of our coal trucks will start carrying coal. Doesn't look like anything has any coal just yet. Although it looks like this truck and this truck are the first ones to leave with coal. So we'll start to see that soon. And then as for our oil trucks, those are all slowly making their way around. It's just going to take a little bit before we can start to see any of this actually producing goods. And so while we wait for everything to happen, we can take a quick drive down this road. This is coming from our iron ore mine towards the steel mill. Sort of get an idea of what the environment feels like on one of our lines. So we have this road running right along the train tracks, and we tried to keep it parallel where we could, but the train does have a little bit of a limit on how steep the slopes can be, so we did have to sort of push and pull with that a little bit in some areas. But we can see our train flying by right now, heading towards the chemical plant. Obviously empty, but hopefully sometime soon we'll start to see that fill up. And then we can also take a look here and see what our coal mine looks like as we drive in on this truck up towards the station here, and this area I really like. I think it's a little bit of a different style than what we usually do with some of our coal mines, but I think it came out pretty well. We didn't get too heavy on the super fine details, but the areas that we did detail I think came out pretty well. And so we can also start to see our trucks slowly descending down into our iron mine here. So pretty soon we'll start to have some iron ready to get shipped off to the steel mill. So that'll be exciting to see. I was really hoping that we wouldn't be overdoing it with the trucks, although it looks like they will end up being spaced out sort of appropriately. I didn't want this to just be a cluttered mess of trucks coming up and around this path here, but I think the density that we're currently operating at isn't too bad. And so I think now is going to be a good time to take a closer look at everything we've done in this video so far, and then when we come back, we'll start to talk about some future projects and what we're going to plan to do in the next video. Alright, and so now that we're back, we can start to talk about some of our plans for the future on this map. And obviously, first things first is going to be evening out the line rates across this whole setup. Again, we don't want to just connect to Roswell. We also want to connect our goods factory to this cargo hub, which then in turn will connect it to Lincoln, Pittsburgh, and farther on in the future, some other cities on our map. So that'll be sort of the primary focus of the next video. We'll get a few more of these industries a little bit more detailed. We'll focus a bit more on this oil well, the oil refinery, the chemical plant, and the goods factory. I'm not sure if we'll get to all 4 of those in one video, as that will be a lot of time invested in just adding detail to those industries, but that will be on our list for this whole line. And then moving on from balancing out the goods line, I think next we'll start to take a good look at fixing the roads in our cities and redoing the bus networks in those, as doing these larger projects really takes time away from the city AI and how it builds. So a lot of these cities have started to get a little bit messy with their roads. They're starting to outgrow their transit networks. So I'd really like to come in, fix that up, polish up the bus routes and tram routes within each of these cities, and really set them up for the future once we start pumping resources into all of them. And so with that, I think that's going to be all for this video. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.